Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. We're here in Paris at the MPLS and SDN World Congress 2015. We are in a big hotel, and this hotel's got a cinema, and that's where we are. It's a bit unusual for us to broadcast from somewhere like this because it causes a few technical difficulties, not least that we're almost sat on the floor. But we'll manfully get through it. So, I'm very pleased to be able to introduce my guest, who is Balamurali, who is the Director Product Marketing Business Unit, Cloud and IP at Ericsson.
Thank you. I'm glad to be talking to you today.
Thanks, Bala. Pleasure to meet you. Let's get straight into it. SDN and NFV are as much about business transformation as they are about network transformation. What, in your view, do service providers need to do from that business transformation perspective to take full advantage of NFV and SDN?
Completely agree with you that it is more of a broader transformation than just the technology transformation. If you ask me the three things that service providers need to think about when they go through this transformation using SDN and NFV, one is rethink business models and markets that they can address. So it's you know, the capabilities that you get from these technologies allow you to target business models that you could never have imagined possible before. It allows service providers to address a very different set of markets than what they have been doing traditionally. So it's not just the consumer market or the enterprise market. You could go and segment and go after verticals that they have not even thought about as possible segments that they could address. So rethink business, the business models and markets that they can address. Second thing is rethink the processes. SDN and NFV are going to radically change the way traditional processes in service providers organizations have been run, all the way from how products are accepted, how products are validated, the procurement process. So everything in that term, in terms of acquiring technology and managing it, changes. So the operational processes, the business processes change. And the third is you have to rethink your organizational setup and the competence that you need in the people who are going to run this network and run this business for you. So in terms of the business transformation, it is business models, processes, people.
Okay, thank you. Given that, what do you think are the biggest challenges that service providers face in the market today?
I think it's been told many times. The two big challenges that service providers face today are agility and relevance. One is the speed with which they can bring products to market. That does not match the speed and agility with which players that were traditionally not their competitors are bringing to the market. They be the Googles or the Facebooks. These are the OTT players. Yeah. They are the new competitors, and they are much more relevant to consumers in their day-to-day personal life than service providers have been. So there's the relevance part of it. When do you think of service providers typically? When you don't get a service. Right? you just think about Googles and Facebooks every time you want to update a status or you want to search for something. And the only time you think that the network is relevant is when it doesn't work. So you need to reestablish that consumer intimacy and that relevance to the end user. I think that's a challenge, and the easiest way to get there is to be agile in providing new services and personalize it for their needs. That's what their challenge has been and is today.
Also on challenges, Bala, what do you think are the challenges when it comes to implementing transformational technologies like SDN and NFV within the organization itself?
I think the qualifier you put is the challenge, the transformational aspect of it. It's not just about getting a new technology, trying it out, and working it in the lab, saying, "Hey, this is great." I think if you look at SDN and NFV where we are today, we are doing a lot of that. We are doing a lot of lab trials. We are doing a lot of field trials, and little by little, we are rolling it out into the network. I think the big challenge in the transformation will come when you have to do this in a much broader and larger scale than a lab and field trial, which means you have to think about all the installed equipment you have, all the processes that you have, all the organizational boundaries that you have, and now have to probably rethink because you are not going to run processes in the same way. So it's going to, the process transformation and the organization transformation are going to be a long tail in that transformation, and there will be hard decisions that people need to make on how to reach their end goal. And to be frank, not everybody has the same end goal. There are service providers who are perfectly happy being the connectivity providers. There will be service providers who want to be service providers and enablers for others to provide services. And then there will be service providers who want to be providing connectivity services and other services and be a complete service provider. And in that case, their end goals are different. And depending on what the end goal is, the transformational challenges will vary.
Bala, given that you've very well painted a picture of where the industry is and the problems facing it, the challenges and the changes are going to be necessary, I'd like to ask you a question which might make you smile or might make you think I'm mad. But given that, why is it worth it to a service provider or a telco to change?
I think there are two aspects to it. One is, do they need to change? Everybody has to decide for themselves whether they want to continue being a connectivity provider and they're happy with it.
Yeah.
If they're not happy with it, I think the big challenge of why it is worth it, why they need to change, is because, referring to what I told you, is the relevance to the end user. We as consumers, our expectations have never been greater. We want more and more things, and we want those things to be personalized to our taste. I mean, if you look at Facebooks and Googles, you can customize what you want to see and what you want others to see and how you consume those services. That has not been the case for network services, right? You have to select from a preset packages. You have never been able to personalize the way you consume network services to your exact demand. I think, if service providers are able to use these technologies to personalize the way we consume network services, it gives them that relevance and it gives them that consumer intimacy that is lacking, and that will then translate into additional revenues. So there's been a lot of talk about how SDN and NFV will cut operational costs and capital expenditures, and that will definitely be impacting the bottom line. But I think there's a bigger aspect to it of growing the top line and addressing a broader market and being much more relevant to consumers.
So for the majority of service providers and telcos, it's a matter of adapt or go to the wall. Or presumably maybe one will break ranks and say, well, look, I'm just going to become a utility player and just going to provide connectivity.
Yes, I think we will see people make those choices.
Yeah.
Either change to be something that they are not today, or continue to operate the way they are today and accept the reality of what that service is.
Interesting. Thank you. We're out of time, so we'll have to stop there. But Bala, take it out. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.